Okay, so we're here in central London, beside Euston Station, the headquarters of Momentum. 11 hours to go until polling in the British general election. And I'm here with Katy, Herrington and Freya Cann from Momentum to talk about the closing stages of the Jeremy Corbyn campaign.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what's going on inside in the last minute phone banking for Jeremy Corbyn's campaign.
So there's lots going on. We've got people calling traditionally with phones and lists of names to call, but we've also got people on the Labour Party app Dialogue who have been using the phoning software. That's a very recent development, and that's been really, really helpful in our campaign.
Yeah, this is the first time the Labour Party has rolled out. This isn't Momentum, this is the Labour Party. They have their calling app where they call people on the electoral register, and they do the traditional canvassing that people have been doing in offices for years, but now you can do it from home. So it's more accessible for people with children, for disabled people. So we've accessed this whole new level of activists that can't be out every day, which is great.
And because that's Labour Party data, we get electoral data, whereas with our text app Relay, that's just Momentum data, isn't it?
So tell us a bit about this. I was looking at people doing. So I was looking upstairs at people doing the text app. It looks pretty
It's amazing. It's the coolest thing I've ever used. I love it.
It's a donation from the Bernie Sanders campaign. I was using it even when I was back at university, when I wasn't in London. You just press buttons and it sends out automated text asking people if they're able to campaign in their area. They respond, you have a list of options, or you can respond personally back.
It's so much better than the traditional mass text, because it's all well and good to send information to a load of people, but it's the fact that you can actually have that conversation. So it's somewhere between a mass text and a phone bank, where you can send out loads of things at once, as opposed to calling and someone doesn't pick up, and calling and you go to answer phone and then eventually you get through to a person. With this texting, you text everyone and some people ignore you, but most people
We've had a really amazing engagement
response rate.
And most of it's been with Momentum members, so people who are not only supporters of Jeremy
Our
Corbyn,
mobilising campaign has been with Momentum members and supporters. So we've been calling our members, we've been calling our supporters, and we've been telling them to go out and get involved in Labour Party activities, and that's been our whole mobilisation.
So rather than preaching to the converted, we're trying to mobilise them rather than
mobilise the converted.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's been particularly focused on a number of marginals that Momentum has kind of pulled out as the essential ones.
We've got a website called My Nearest Marginal. So people put in their postcode and it gives them the 10 closest marginals to them, and then gives them a list of key campaign activities in those marginals. And you can offer, if you're able to give a lift to that marginal, you can offer a lift, and then people can jump in on that. And so we can have cards of people going to marginals.
There's been some good success stories with that one.
Great,
And there's some in London, right? Looking ahead to tomorrow.
Yes. Croydon Central is a big marginal.
Croydon Central, we
Eltham.
win. Eltham is a marginal. That's one of the low-key marginals. So our big marginals we've got Croydon Central, we've got Ealing Central and Acton, we've got Hampstead and Kilburn,
Battersea.
Battersea isn't. That's one of the and then we've got Ilford North, and those are we need to win this marginals. And then after that we have the fun marginals. Eltham,
which is if things are going very well.
Battersea has been Tory for a while, but it used to be Labour, and Labour can win again. So that's one of our optimistic marginals, and then we have marginals like Eltham, which is I'm from Eltham, and Clive Efford is amazing, but he has a reasonably safe majority. So that's not oh my god, we need to win in Eltham, it's gonna go, it's horrible.
Just, if you can't make it to the others and you are able to do that, that's a good place.
It's still a very good place to go canvassing, as opposed to Islington North, where it's we're not going to lose.
Hopefully.
This is Jeremy Corbyn.
Oh my god, touch wood!
Tell me this, what are you guys doing then from tomorrow on polling day?
I'm going to Eltham to join Katy.
Because Freya unfortunately lives in a very much Tory safe seat.
Tory safe seat, there's no hope for me there.
So she's coming with me to my marginals.
So you go out early in the morning?
Yeah.
And what does it tend to then look like? You're picking key areas in the marginal constituency where people gather, or are you trying to get people on the way to work? I mean, what do you do on polling day?
It depends on when you turn up. If you turn up at before 5, you're usually given leaflets to sort of silently put into letterboxes, not to disturb people.
Don't wake anyone up at 5 a.m. If it's knock on their door, have you voted yet?
If it's at 7, you'll be catching people at train stations, maybe outside school gates, leafleting, encouraging people to vote. From sort of maybe 8 to 5, usually it's going to people who we've identified as Labour voters, knocking on the door, being have you voted yet? That kind of stuff. So
Okay, so it's different then throughout the day, and you're going to have groups of people, momentum activists.
Yeah. Not just momentum activists. We've mobilised our momentum activists to work alongside local people who maybe like momentum, maybe don't like momentum.
Yes.
That's the fun of it.
Sure.
So get to meet new people.
Yeah, you don't have to be a momentum member to use My Nearest Marginal. It's available to any person that wants to canvass on behalf of
It's an interesting actually side to all this, like looking at the commentary from other people in the Labour Party who are not in momentum. Obviously there's been an awful lot of division inside the party over a number of years, but around this campaign there seems to be a lot of people and MPs who would not traditionally be Corbyn supporters saying this is really good.
It's been amazing how we've come together in this campaign.
Just think how much more we could have achieved if we'd been this united the whole time.
Not even that, it's just so exciting to be like doing things and like the rest of the Labour Party to be excited for what we're doing. It's like, it's really, really lovely and it feels like we're all on the same team again.
Yeah, all of the positive response to the manifesto has just been incredible. Yeah.
We won't go in too far at this point into whether that stays post-election, but the manifesto has been really good actually, and very well received.
Yeah, massively well received.
Not only like among lefties, but it's been one of the things behind the polling increase for Labour across the country.
Really,
coming into the campaign, Labour was 25 points down.
Yes.
It's now, I mean, it depends on where we look at the polls, but I mean, most polls have single figures, and some of them are very tight. What do you put that down to as a kind of comeback for Corbyn and the party?
I put it down to how amazing our campaign has been, and partly also how rubbish the Tory campaign has been. But that's not the point. We want to focus on the positives, and we want to say that we've had so many people out on the doorstep having conversations, and that's how people actually decide how they're going to vote. Because like before the election, everyone was getting their information about politics through the news, through newspapers, and we have a lot of right-wing newspapers in this country, so that's kind of how that goes. But now it's been actual people talking to people in their communities, and people have realised that Jeremy Corbyn isn't this scary socialist the Daily Mail talks about, because their neighbours are voting for him and their families are voting for him.
We've a nice Comrade Corbyn flies the red flag piece cut out from a newspaper behind us, so
quality.
I mean, those are the kind of things I think you take back and use to your own lines, but no, I mean, it's an interesting one to see like how Corbyn was distorted through the mainstream press in the period before this election, since he became leader, and actually just before that too. When you actually see Jeremy Corbyn speak, he comes across as a kind of kindly granddad of the left figure. You know, he doesn't come across as extremely abrasive, as somebody who is going to, you know,
that's what makes
breads under their beds, you know, send the children to bed when you hear Jeremy Corbyn come on the TV or whatever. It doesn't come across like that, and yet through the right-wing press he's been portrayed like that for 18 months, 2 years. You think the fact that he's been able to speak without that filter has been good for him and his image?
I think that's been massive.
I think, especially with like the rise of the internet and stuff, people will be watching his things through live streams, and without having that like filter of the media or the news that is always traditional.
Of having that one commentator being like, oh well.
No, I know. When people are looking at things from the States, and particularly with that like old socialist grandpa idea, one of the comparisons they'll draw is with Bernie, and I know Bernie kind of gave a sort of endorsement to Corbyn when he was over.
A sort
of endorsement, but he was positive. But his people who worked in his campaign were actually over here doing workshops with you guys, right? On campaign. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so we have, we've got a group of people from I say group, there's like 2 of them, but we've got some lovely people from the Bernie campaign that have come over and are delivering our training sessions. So the training sessions we've been having are like how to door knock, and it's been really interesting having them talking about door knocking in America and like comparing that to our experience here. And they've tried to inject a lot of like positivity and how are you, how's your day, that like we'd never think about saying on the doorstep. So that's been really interesting. So we've toned down their happiness. And they've delivered these workshops about like how people can get involved, and the workshops have been really, really great, because the whole point of Momentum is we have this mass membership, and we've made the Labour Party membership into this mass membership. We've got
over 500,000 people.
Over 500,000 in the Labour Party. We've got 20,000 people in Momentum. These are all amazing people that are going to be the people that win this election by being out on the doorstep. So we've had these workshops. So the people that are usually the people on Facebook being like, oh, I'm a bit scared of the Labour Party, this, that, my CLP, they're now out on the doorstep making friends with people in their local Labour Party, realising we're not as divided as we think we are, and that we actually all do get on. And the workshops have helped that, because they've made people more confident, and they've given people the tools they need to actually go out and change people's minds.
Tell me, why do you think that didn't happen to such a degree before the election. I know elections are always like a spur for those kind of things, but the party managed to come up to 500,000 members during the second leadership campaign for Jeremy, and yet so much of the focus seemed to be what was happening in Westminster and the kind of plots against him and the internal divisions and did the kind of energy of that second leadership campaign just kind of not follow through, or what would you say about that?
I think we tried a lot to make it follow through, but a lot of people didn't quite catch on to that, especially the people within the party that have been having these arguments, like the left and the right, they're both as bad as each other for having these arguments.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the fact we've got a reason to come together has pushed us in the right direction, and I really, really hope that this togetherness continues after the election.
Yeah, that would be incredible. I think, we have to realise we have so much more that unites us than divides us.
Yeah, and I've noticed, obviously, I've been hanging out mostly with the left, being at Momentum all the time, but the more stubborn people on the left that have been annoying me seem to be realising that it is important to come together, and seem to be realising that the Labour Party doesn't hate them, and they've taken that message on. And I think, hopefully, these stubborn old people on the left will respect that and carry on with that afterwards.
I'm sure we're now going to get an avalanche of comments from these stubborn old people in our viewership. But since we're on this track, I'll ask one or two things just to kind of figure out what you guys are thinking going forward. I mean, if the election result tomorrow doesn't go fantastically well, and I mean, there is a real chance that there'll be another coup against Jeremy and so on. Do you think that what this campaign has done is brought together the Labour Party in a way that's going to last after the campaign? Is that your feeling?
I hope so.
I would like to hope so, but I will admit when this general election first was called, my immediate reaction was, oh, that will be the end of Jeremy then, because it will be proven that he's unelectable and then he'll make his departure. But seeing them all come together has given me a hope, I'll say.
a small
hope that the party unity is possible and could happen going on, but should it not go our way, I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. And let's do the positive things for this side of it. One of the positive things, you were telling me before, you both have your own stories, how you ended up in Labour Party politics on the left, all the rest of it. So maybe tell me a little bit about how you ended up in the Labour Party back in Corbyn.
I joined the party when I first started studying politics at A-level, and I got involved in my local CLP, and there weren't any other young people in my CLP, so they were like, oh, we'll take you to your constituency, because there's 3 young people there, and you're the same age and you'll be best friends.
Yes, we used to live in Essex, which is very, very Tory and not Labour at all, but we were like the tiny little Labour hopes.
We campaigned together on the 2015 general election. We became friends, and then we both...
Strong supporters of Ed Miliband?
Love Ed Miliband so much. Love Miller fan.
So when the leadership election happened, we both decided to support Jeremy. I was thinking the other day, a little under 2 years ago, we were both campaigning for Jeremy Corbyn when his odds for just becoming Labour were 200 to 1. And now we're here 2 years later.
I mean,
and he could become Prime Minister.
They kept saying he wasn't going to win the leadership elections, and he did. And now they're saying he's not going to win a general election. There's a trend.
And what was it? I mean, so obviously you supported a kind of what was a left turn under Ed Miliband. He was a more left-wing leader than would have been there before. What made you go from that to supporting Jeremy Corbyn and his kind of his politics? Because as much as we say, the media scaremongers about things, he is obviously the most left-wing leader to be in a major party coming up to an election in British history. So what made you...
Yeah, when Ed Miliband resigned, I sort of felt disillusioned for sort of a week, and I was like, oh, I can't really imagine the party being led by anyone else, and people were coming forward, and I was like, oh,
none of the people were inspiring.
I guess, but everyone was still kind of down in the dumps about, after having so much hope in 2015 and having that dashed, I saw people coming forward, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And then Jeremy stood forward, and I was like, I barely heard of Jeremy before he stood before, even though I grew up in his LinkedIn. And I saw it, and I was looking into his voting records, the things he'd stood for in the past, and I was like, that's the kind of person and that's the kind of direction that I want the party that I support and always have supported to go in.
Yeah, that's the thing. I did a lot of, even though I was 17 in 2015, but I was still explaining to a lot of people at school that, like, yeah, Labour and the Tories are very, very similar,
yeah.
but it's these tiny things. It's this ban on 0 hours contract, it's this raising the minimum wage. It's like these little things are going to be really helpful, but it's really hard to like bring across a positive message when it is like Tory light.
Well, and now, so a key thing for you is that this is real left-wing politics.
Yeah. Now,
big distinction to the Tories.
This general election, you can't say, oh, they're all the same. My vote doesn't matter. Like whoever I vote for will be getting the same thing, because that's just not the case anymore. And I'm so glad.
Yeah.
And that seems to be pretty well reflected among young people. I mean, the gap, generational gap in terms of the polls is crazy. People 18 to 24, Labour has a 74-point margin over the Tories, and then people over 65, it's like a 60-point margin through the Tories.
Yeah.
So, you know, what is it about Jeremy Corbyn, this, as we were saying, socialist grandad figure, who has managed to massively inspire so many young people?
I think it's just because under Jeremy we would no longer feel left behind. It's like
he offers so many things for young people. I think that's what it is. It's tuition fees, it's minimum wage, it's apprenticeships, it's
0 hour contracts.
Exactly.
0 hours contracts. Yeah. I mean, that was Ed Miliband as well. Give him his due. Ed Miliband did a good job. He tried his best.
But I think we realise, especially after the 2010 election, if we don't vote, we're just going to get screwed over. With
and it's just going to get worse,
tripling of tuition fees. And now we have an actual alternative, which in my lifetime I've never seen. Because this will be our first general election we can vote in. And
so go on then, give me your predictions for what's going to happen tomorrow. You can be honest, because our audience will be like, are already excited enough.
I mean, I think it's going to be a hung parliament.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
That would be incredible.
That would be good.
That would mean like coming from 25 points down to like basically level.
Who knows? What's Theresa May's majority at the moment is very tight.
It's small, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 14 or something.
Yeah. Less than 20.
I don't know. She could decrease her majority, increase.
That's doable.
Yeah, anything's possible. And I don't want to trust the polls anymore, so I'm keeping an open mind.
I'm predicting a Labour majority. It's going to be fine. We've got this.
650 seats.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you very much. And we're going to be hanging around doing some more coverage tomorrow of the campaign and what happens to Jeremy, the socialist granddad of the British left, to see what the story is in the election results, to cover this amazing comeback and see if he can manage after all that to pull it out of the bag and to deliver a very strong result. So thanks to both Katy and to Freya.
Thank you.
And you'll see another video from us tomorrow.
Bye.